A lot of folks are still vacating, doing the vacation thing based on the people counts. And I'm going to run through an airport instead of sit on the call, but I do want to open the call. That's why I joined. I wanted to say hey to everybody. Let's go ahead and open. We're a couple minutes out. Welcome to the open mic. We do this because MSPs asked. They wanted to hear what was new with the platform, what we've been working on, and you folks wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate automation ideas from your MSP peers. At some point, I'll start reminding you about flow. But no one reached out to me to remind. Let's see, do I have anyone here that, nope, no one's pinging me. And let's see, I'm kind of dusty here. My brain has cobwebs. What about Discord? If you have questions, please ask. In fact, not asking questions is one of my indicators of whether or not an MSP will succeed at automation. Um, I do, let me think, how many of them do I know? 1, 2, 10 divided by 4. I know 0 MSPs that have succeeded with automation that have never asked a question. We give you plenty of places to do that. You can do that in the coop. You can ask publicly in front of all the MSPs that use Rewst, or you can do it privately in your one-on-one channel with our ROC or support team. And with that, I'm going to run around now and I'm going to hand it over to Ashe. What's up, Ashe?
Thank you, Aaron. Good luck with your airport runs. All right, so now we are going to have, actually, we don't have any kind of like company updates, do we? We're gonna kind of go through this. Okay, so we have a few demos. We've got Derrick and we've also got Stuart who said that he would give one, and we've also got Jamie. Why don't we start with you, Jamie? Why don't you kick us off?
This is what I get for having my camera on right from the start. Yeah, I'm happy to start us off. Before I do, I'm going to take a quick poll of the room. Has anyone in this group done very much in Notion? Are any of you guys Notion users, either personally or for work? See no hands raised, no thumbs up, no clapping. Okay, Ashley, we got one. All right, Jordan, we've got one. All right. Well, if you guys don't use Notion, you might not know much about it. And that's why I wanted to ask, because I will start with like a little bit of a product tour so you can understand why I would do this automation. So Notion is kind of like a OneNote, if you've ever used that, or Evernote. It's an application where you can make a lot of documents, you can collaborate with your team. And I've set it up in a way where we can run a little project dashboard. Our team did end up going in a different direction for this project, but I still wanted to show you guys the automation because it was pretty dang nifty and fun to do. So the idea here is that Notion is extremely customizable. You can make little buttons to do things. You can create databases. In these databases, right, you can have lists of tasks and different views of everything that you want to see. You can do relationships where they're all connected to each other. It's got a lot of functionality built into it, but it also has some limitations. For example, if I wanted to create the same types of projects over and over and over again, it's really easy to create a automation just in Notion that would duplicate the like the titles. But then if you actually want to duplicate all the tasks so you don't have to create them manually every time, there's some like workaround ways to do that. But if you want to get like really fancy and you want to be able to copy the content within those tasks, it's where it pretty much falls apart. You can do some things with templates, but it's a stretch. And then if anyone else wants to like manage it or update it, it becomes really complicated. So what we wanted to do for this project, the goal was to be able to have a list of tasks that would be different depending on the size of the project. So a tier 1 project would have like all of the tasks, right? A tier 2 would have a slightly shorter list. And then a tier 3 would have very redacted lists for just little changes and quick things. We also wanted anybody to be able to come in and edit these tasks on the fly. That way the whole team could work together to manage them, right? And so those were some of the requirements. We also wanted to be able to create these project dashboards so that everyone could see, oops, let's get back to the dashboard. There we go. So everyone could track where it is going on with their own projects and be able to manage things together as a team. So those were our requirements. What we did in order to create that was throw together a little backend with some different databases. And what we created was this launch project task templates, this list of all of our template tasks to pull from. And then we would pop those into these different, we'd associate them with the different launches. And then each launch has its own version of the task associated with it where we can track changes. Now, to do all of this craziness in Hub or in Rewst, what we did was a quick little workflow that is going to be triggered anytime a new launch was created in Notion. So we set up a webhook and that would kick off this workflow. And the first thing we did was look at the tier of the project. So we get that from the properties that come in, and anything that was matched to tier 1 would follow the first path. Tier 2 is going to follow the second path, and tier 3 follows the third. If somehow someone managed to create one without a tier, they're going to get all of the tasks. Then what we do first is we query the database, and we just used one of our pre-built Notion tasks for this, the one that was with query database. And we fed it the database ID where we have the template tasks, and then went ahead for the tier 3 is just, or I'm sorry, the tier 1 project is just going to grab all of the tasks. And then the tier 2, we went ahead and put a filter on it, right? Because we wanted to just get the ones that were tagged as the tier 2 tasks, and then the same for tier 3. That then feeds down into this nifty little sub workflow that uses with items to cycle through each one of those tasks to get the page properties and then list all of the content on those pages, right? Because I didn't just want the task, I wanted all the sub details of that task. And then we create a new page for each page that we're going through. And then if it has content, we go ahead and append that content. And if we don't have content, then we just go through to done. And the result then is that when someone wants to create a new project, all they have to do is create the new task and title it. And we go ahead and say what type of feature it's going to be and what kind of tier it's going to be. We assign the team to manage it. And then we give it a target launch date that can be changed later. And what you're going to see it do is go ahead and build out that new task for us. And then it's going to run through that workflow, and it will create all these different tasks for us. And like you saw at the beginning, when I changed the title of that test task, you can see that that change was created here. And again, the result in this was literally anyone on the team can make this They don't have to manually write in all of these tasks, and they can change and edit the tasks on the template page whenever they want. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
It's so cool.
I love that, like, the end result was us deciding to go in a different direction, but I still learned a ton. So I wasn't even mad because it was a good thing to work on and a lot of fun and a creative way to use Rewst. So
Thank you, Jamie. I
you're
love
most welcome.
creative ways to use Rewst, even if they're not used. It's just the learning is fun.
I think I'll end up using it for like my own project management because I've got a couple of other things I'm working on. So not completely unused, but we're going to use a different tool for the team.
Awesome. Looks like Chris Williams is a fan of the Notion stuff. He joined late, so yes, definitely catch up on that. Thank you. All right. Any other questions before we jump over to someone else? All right, let's jump to Derrick. Derrick, are you there?
I am, but naturally my Sophos just started scanning, so bear with me if things
can,
get a little bit slow.
Do you want to swap out? Do you want to, or are you good?
No, these scans usually last like an hour and a half. So yeah. So we'll bear with it. Hopefully it won't be too bad. So we, as most of you I'm sure are aware, one of the biggest issues that maybe some new Rewst users or new to Rewst clients face when they're dealing with workflows is like, I clicked the submit button, but I don't know what happened. Especially, our end clientele that don't see like the ticket updates and things like that. I think I solved that, and I'm super happy about this. So this is just a stupid demo workflow. All we're going to do is delay, retry. But first, we are going to send a link to, I have it set up in Slack, but this can be anything you want, whether that's email or however the end user can receive a link. Okay, there we go. So what happened? Come on. Of course, this is just being unreasonably slow. You get a link, it opens up a response page, and it's going to connect to that workflow if it connects, because it's being slow. And we are going to stream live workflow updates. Basically, it is your execution summary with a lot less detail, and the end user can see it. So yeah, we already have 9 tasks completed, but you can kind of see it goes through and it tells them exactly what's going on. I built this particular version out for just very general use case, but my intention is for more specific workflows like new user onboarding, things like that, we can actually give some details in these different responses. So essentially all we're doing is when we generate the link, man, this is so slow. I didn't do my sacrifice. That's what it is. It's just generating a link that is a webhook that goes to this workflow. And the webhook response, yeah, this is just awful. I'm so sorry, guys. Come on. I was so excited about this demo too, and then this had to happen.
It's okay. We got some time.
We do. That's the good part. All right, so it just goes to a response body that is just a bunch of HTML and JavaScript, and that starts a polling process. and that poll, it pulls another webhook that just runs this exact same workflow. And then we're using GraphQL, if my page will scroll down and I can close out of this. But we're using GraphQL queries to pull in the workflow status as well as the workflow task log. And then in the future, we'll probably pull in the context as well, assuming it's not going to be an enormous context that's going to bog everything down. And then we're just appending the status to the tasks and injecting that back into the response page, where it then processes those polls and updates every, I think I have it set every 3 seconds right now. So really nifty way to have your users see what is going on. And then also it will tell you if your request failed, and then gives you an option to contact us, if you're trying to do something, and bring our attention right to it. So any questions on this subpar demo? I'm terribly sorry.
How does maybe coming back to the beginning for a second, how does this get initiated for them to use?
Right. So this one in particular is so generic. All you have to do is I have this send Slack link to user. And all it does is it builds out the URL with the webhook URL, and then adds the parameter of the current execution ID. So when that gets clicked, all it's responsible for doing is pulling up the response page and then starting the poll process. And that poll process is just another URL, webhook URL to the same workflow that outputs the data into the response page.
That's awesome.
It's pretty interesting.
Another way that you can do that is instead of the webhook, you can also do a GraphQL execute workflow. I've been playing around with that a lot the past week or so and learned some really cool stuff in the app builder with those GraphQL queries. You can execute workflows, get the results, and pretty much everything you want in the app builder using that.
That's kind of the next stage, is putting this in app builder as a, hey, here's all the workflows that you have executing right now, and you can click into it directly in app builder and have it pull up that current status.
Can you share the workflow?
I cannot, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I wish I could, but I might be on thin ice enough as it is, even doing the demo.
I didn't see anything.
I get it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Any questions or comments or concerns, opinions, feats of strength, airing of grievances we want to have?
So I love this, and I agree that it's a common question / concern people get when they click the thing and then they wonder if it's going. Is there a world though where then people are sitting around and watching their workflows execute instead of moving on to their next thing, and then thus losing some of the joy of automation?
So
or is this just purely giving them somewhere to look at if they need to?
My primary use case for this was actually from one of the other companies I was at, where we had the majority of our clients were doing their own new user onboardings and submitting those forms. And because they don't have necessarily a ticket that they can easily go back and see, what the status is, we would constantly get, well, hey, I submitted this 5 minutes ago and I don't have anything yet. What's going on? And so this is a way to try and alleviate those types of questions.
So the end customers can watch it if they want to, but your team's not bogged down doing needless stuff. I love it.
Yep. And we do have
I get the same kind of thing from my internal users, just trying to get them to use automation. This is one of the complaints they've had, is I don't know what it's doing and where it's at. And so I built one of these myself last week, just for my internal people. Even if it does end up distracting them by that, at least I'm getting them to use more automation with it. It's a trade-off.
Any other questions or comments? Oh, all right. Well, big accelerating time. Accelerating. Anyways, Stuart, you said you would show something off for us today. Finally,
Yes.
You're excited.
For those of you that missed the opening comments when the channel, this meeting started, I have a report that I run on my computer that pulls outage numbers, patch state, that kind of stuff on the daily. The problem is that, like most people, I went on vacation for a few days and all the reporting stopped because I had turned my laptop off. So what I've done is I've transplanted an entire PowerShell script that I have and translated it into Rewst, and then have it do all my work for me. So I don't have to keep my computer on all the time. So it started off as, I'd like to say, a simple PowerShell script, but it's really just taking a bunch of information from Adigy and then smashing it all together to make it look nice and pretty. In Rewst, it looks a whole lot easier. I'm just grabbing some of the environment variables within Rewst, which is where I keep all the API keys and stuff like that. If you want to judge my PowerShell, I'll share it with you if you really want to. I'm open to criticism. So after it grabs all the API key, organization key, all of that stuff, it then grabs the devices and the policies, which are the primary two sources that I use to be able to generate this report. Grab a list of all the model information, which is all derived information from the devices. Same thing with the patch list. An unpatched list smashes the two together afterwards to create a final list, because as I learned, this part was entirely new to me in Jinja. I have to admit, I think it was Joey that showed this to me from The Rock. Sorry if I'm getting the name wrong. Of ways to be able to create the same object, but add in additional properties. So I really just wanted to have a patch property show up as true, and then have the other list, the unpatched list, as false, squish them back together with the additional property. And then it grabs the latest model based on the model name, grabs the OS version provided by Adigy, and then creates a cute little report, and it dumps it out something like this. So it's just a CSV file because that's the easiest thing to transport around. And yeah, device name, serial number, whether the device was online or not. Some people had requirements for that. And then patch version, true or false. Go through in Excel, filter on it, and you know who you should be talking to because they haven't been updating their device because they're still on 18.6.2 and they should be on something later, or 17.6.1. That was today's accomplishment, and I'm pretty happy with that.
That's awesome. So how much? What did that give us the ballpark, time it spent you versus time it took you?
It's kind of a toss-up because a lot of the development I did with the PowerShell side of things, I was just getting into API programming. So there was a lot of stumbling blocks there. And it took me, by now, a disproportionately long period of time to do it. I think it probably took me 3-4 days to be able to get through it, for as simple as it is. There was a huge learning curve for me there. But once I covered that, transplanting this from PowerShell into Rewst probably took me hour and a half. Mostly trying to get people to get off my back so I could actually keep working in Rewst instead of actually doing tickets. So yeah, a lot of it was just moving the code over from one platform to the next. The great thing, though, was I learned a lot about list comprehension in all of this. It's been one of the weak spots that I've had, and I've always understood that it is great and it is wonderful, but I just, for some reason, have had a bit of a blind spot trying to get around it. So a lot of what I've done with the list comprehension is mostly new to me, like this bit, trying to be able to figure out how many devices are in a given model, which will be a part of the report as the email portion of it. So, 500, iPads versus 20 iMacs. So we can get a breakdown and be able to figure out how we should be managing the smaller portions or even the larger portions of devices. Does that actually answer your question, Ashe? I know I ramble here, and you can cut me off at any point.
Never. No, yes, you did. And I ramble all the time. So ramblers unite. This is where we feel belonging. Awesome.
And since some people wanted to criticize my PowerShell, you can look at that while we can keep on talking.
Oh God, I have so much to say about this. I'm just gonna keep this in.
It's so good that he did the work, and so now he's automated.
It's fantastic. The only question I had an actual question about the workflow. Like, now that you also have Rewst available, are you going to add more data sources in that report? Something like the warranty lookup or that kind of stuff?
We actually have a different platform to be able to manage all the warranty lookups for stuff. It pulls all the data out of ConnectWise and then drops it into their own, like, procurement's own report bin. So I'm not pulling that stuff because, for the most part, I don't care about that stuff. I do my best of, let sales and procurement be sales and procurement. If they want a report that does this stuff, I've told them flat out. Actually, I've told everyone in the company flat out that if you have any great report ideas that would make your life easier, please talk to me. Like, I want to be able to make people's lives easier through using Rewst or even PowerShell, whatever the tool is that's best. And they haven't talked to me, so I'm guessing they're happy with their current reporting plans.
Okay, cool.
No one talks.
There, you can keep on staring at the code if you want. I think I left all the API keys off the top of the screen, so there's nothing really disastrous. I do know that also this was, as I said, 2-3 years ago, and some of the coding style has changed, both in how I do things and also what is now presented through Adigy. So I know I could simplify entire blocks of this because it's not needed anymore. It used to be needed, but now it's not.
Yeah. I'm going to type some things in the coop, like some PowerShell cool stuff, because you're using the PowerShell ISE and that kind of stuff. There's much better tools available to help you so much. So I'll make a list.
You're talking to a guy who is writing his HTML in Notepad, so
Oh my God.
For as much as I appreciate the idea of better tools, I have also looked at like Visual Studio and stuff like that. I've used Notepad++ because that's just one of the things that I've also gravitated to. It shows my age, I'll be honest, that some of these tools, I've become so much of a habit in using one environment that I'm reluctant to move off that environment, even though I know there's 10 million things that are better out there. And I will admit that, but, I'm happy where I am right now.
Okay, cool.
But yes, I will still look over that list, and I will probably give some of those applications a try just to see if there's something that tickles my fancy or scratches that one itch that I didn't know from the ISE. Because I wouldn't be here exploring Rewst if I didn't like exploring things.
You only have the ISE for a short while longer because Microsoft is removing everything PowerShell 2.0, and the ISE is a PowerShell 2.0 application.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I guess I'll be moving to Visual Studio then, or something. Curse Microsoft.
Visual Code, but I'll drop a list in the coop so that everyone can see it.
Thank
There's
you.
a PowerShell channel.
That would probably make
I'm
sense.
a long time Notepad HTML writer as well. What I've been doing lately, though, is I've actually been using Claude for just building huge, complex HTML and JavaScript pages for app builder. So maybe AI might be worth a try as well.
My coworkers here always point fun at the fact that I spend time coding and I should just ask ChatGPT to do more coding for me. Which, for the most part, I do find that, yes, it is a great tool to be able to use as a launch pad to be able to get good scripts. But ultimately, I end up tearing them apart because they don't fit my personal way of doing things. But I do acknowledge their usefulness. And it also goes back to how do you get the experienced people if you just go to ChatGPT all the time? So finding out new ways of doing things is also part of like my exploration. So I know I have my shortcomings and I acknowledge those, but I'm proud of those as well.
Should be. Because then you know how to make them better as you grow and as you learn.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. All right, we are done with demos now. We've got almost half the show still left because we didn't do any internal updates. George, did you say that you had some stuff that you wanted to go through?
I've got some quick fire hot seat questions for a bit of fun. If anybody wants to hop on the hot seat for some non-dramatic questions to run through. Any volunteers before you're voluntold? No takers.
Just means that
Sure.
they want you to
Sure, go
randomly
for it.
pick.
Go for it.
Joel looked like he was about to say yeah.
Joel, you keen?
I'm good. Go for it.
All right, Joel.
I'll play ball.
Sweet, Joel. We'll just get started. Just maybe a little like
So will BJ.
name, company, and where you're based.
I work for SourcePass, and I am particularly based in Central Georgia.
Nice. All right, Joel. Just got a couple of quick fire questions for you. No wrong answers. They're all just kind of opinion based. What's more painful, bad data or bad processes?
Data. I can fix processes. Data sucks.
Would you rather fix a broken automation or build a new one?
Ooh. Honestly, I like throwing it away and building a new one, but sometimes you got to fix it instead.
What is the first thing you automate, or what's the first automation you implement for new customers?
For new customers.
Yeah, so if you sign a new client, they come onto SourcePass, what's one of the first automations that you set them up with or input them on?
End goal is going to be on and off boardings.
On and off boardings. Name one automation myth that you believed early on.
Automation myth.
Yeah, maybe something you heard on a forum somewhere, and then you're like, that's not true.
Yeah, anything can be automated. That was the automation myth. I believed it for the most part, but I found a few things that it just ain't happening with.
Yeah, is there a particular example of something you tried and you're like, this cannot be done?
No, not yet. Not that comes to my mind particularly. It's just that we've looking at processes just in general decided that, when you start getting into some of the local AD stuff, it can be a little bit hairy. So
okay. What else have I got? Oh yeah, here's what. What's one API app or trick that you lean on constantly?
Ask AI.
Ask AI.
Yeah. What is all the APIs are so different. Like we have a standard that says this meets standards. That's the only standard there is. It doesn't meet standards after that. We do this one this way. We do this one that way. So yeah, I just ask AI a lot about APIs.
And a last question for you here, Joel. What is the most underrated step in your automations that you build? What's something that maybe a lot of folks don't understand the value of, or maybe a little secret to the sauce that you use in your workflows?
I've got a Teams basically notification that comes to me for failures. And so it looks like a really long string of garbage, but it attaches all of the run that is associated with the failure and whatever failure note I set with it, of course. So I can click that, go straight into the workflow, if you will. Use it a bunch.
Sounds
great.
like maybe something that would be cool to see, Joel. Do you want to share your screen and take us through what that looks like?
It literally is a Teams message. So it's not a whole lot to see there. Just when you're out for a few days, you come back and you have like 700 unread messages in the same chat. It can be a bit to go back through, but it keeps the wheels turning, if you will.
All right. Well, that was my last question. I got a couple more for a new hot seat volunteer. Thanks, Joel, so much for stepping up. Anyone else? Oh, here's a question that's coming in the chat there from James for you, Joel. You can see that in the chat for you. Anyone else for the hot seat?
I mean, you could always put me in the hot seat.
Who's that? Who's that? There we are. Jim?
Yeah.
Jim Barry?
I mean, I'll always do it, but only if you really want me to do it.
I do want you to do it. Okay, cool.
All
Let me just get my other little list up here. Yeah, this is perfect. I got some good ones for you, Jim Barry. All right, so what breaks an automation more, in your opinion? Bad data or unclear ownership?
I've been dealing with a lot of bad data lately, so I'm going to go with bad data. But I might be skewed by a circumstance more than reality. But I feel like bad data could derail anything. So,
do you think, is it better to automate a bad process quickly to get it done, or fix the process first?
Sometimes getting rid of automating it, no matter how bad it is the path of least resistance, because done is done. The path to done, at some point, it stops mattering. So if I could get it done inside the current process, to alleviate the human part, I might not change the process at all. I might just, end goal, and that's it.
Should automation engineers sit closer to service delivery or business leadership?
I don't want to sound like very, that guy, but probably
6'7"?
Yeah, 6'7", or I don't know, 6'6". I don't know. Just I think that there's a lot for an automator to learn and share in both of those in both departments, right? Sometimes people live so much in the problem of the service that they don't realize that, that is repeatable, right? And that is solvable. Or an automator might not really understand purchasing or other administrative processes, but in proximity to get involved enough in Q&A to get to the bottom of that can be made simpler.
Yeah, it was interesting as well, like with Stuart earlier mentioning that like he's eager to help people, but no one's coming forward. It's kind of it's different for every MSP, I guess. If anyone else has any strong opinions on where automation engineers should be closer to business leadership or service delivery, yeah, let us know in the chat. Is good enough, like in terms of like good enough for an automation, better than being perfect?
I've learned the hard way that waiting for perfect is a very long time, and it's better to grow incrementally. get to the targets, and then you can keep adding on, and you can keep gluing additional things together. And in that process, you might find simplification as well. If you give something a little chance, another idea will come, or an additional simplification, or a reusability case. So yeah.
What matters more to leadership? Time savings or error reduction?
I probably have the unpopular opinion of error reduction. I think that, people who are more watching to make sure that every minute is utilized and that people are being efficient or whatever might be about time saved, so they can, have, control overhead, I guess. But I'm more concerned with, let's get it done but correctly. We don't want to have to do it over. We don't want to, we don't want inconsistent delivery from customer A to customer B.
I would agree with that myself as well. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. And also reducing errors, saving you time because you're not spending time fixing problems that you've created. Ray, I see your hand up. No? Okay. Last question here for you. Oh, go ahead. Ray, you speaking?
No, I've got nothing. I just woke up.
Good morning. Good morning from the future in Australia, Ray. Good to see you here. Last question for you, Jim Barry. Is documentation more important before or after an automation goes live?
I'm sort of old school that way. I mean, requirements, yes, but full documentation, I think it's a fallacy to produce it ahead of time. It's one thing to write a story about what you're going to build, and it's quite another to build it and see the outcome and then document what you actually ended up with. I feel like if you do it up front, it's not accurate to the end result. It's harder to come back to it also, I think. And if you just discipline yourself that it doesn't exist unless you come back to it, it's going to be based on, you're going to use the tools that you have to help. Well, now Rewst is an example. I'm not writing documentation. Select the object and let Rewst write my doc.
Cool. Thanks, Jim Barry. Anyone else for a third and final round of hot seat? No? All good?
Everyone's a little scared of you now, George.
Huh? What are you saying, Calvin? Was that you volunteering?
Sure.
I was volunteering, sure. BJ, but yeah, Calvin works too.
I actually have a separate list specifically for you, Calvin. No,
oh God.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Do you think, is it better to automate one big workflow or many small ones?
Many small ones.
Why?
Because human-assisted automation is still automation. It's something that I just said in chat as well. If you automate a small part of a process, you're still helping a small part of a process. You're not getting stuck in trying to do everything all in one go.
Yeah, I would agree. Should success be measured by automations built or automations adopted at an MSP?
Neither.
Neither?
Neither. It should be measured by the impact it had on a client.
Or the impact has on the client, okay.
The moment that you have an automation that is adopted by everyone, but it has had zero impact on what you're actually doing, it didn't decrease the amount of hours you're working and it didn't fix anything for anyone, it's not really a useful automation.
Okay. Does automation maturity come from more tooling or from mindset?
I always say mindset, but that's because we focused really much on pushing automation culture. Yeah, I think it's a mindset thing.
What creates more rework whenever you come back to automations? Is it moving too fast or over-engineering something?
Depends on the engineer. I in the Cyberdrain team, we have a very good example of that. I move too fast, and Ashe over-engineers every workflow. We are two different opposite sides of a coin in that.
Okay.
I make every workflow perfect.
Yes, exactly.
Well, coming back to the mindset then, what's and kind of that teaching opportunity, like what do you think is harder to teach, using automation tools or automation thinking?
I've always said that people that succeed at automations are people that know math. And I don't mean like arithmetics. I mean actual maths. I mean like people that understand if this, then that, these kind of workflows. Someone that has a good grasp of that automatically is a better automator. So it is mostly focused on making sure people understand how automation in general works. We have a good example of that. One of my engineers, he always said, like, I'm not a big automator, but he loves home automation and he loves Home Assistant and creating workflows in there. And I explained to him, like, okay, so you love doing this. Now take a look at this specific product. And it wasn't Rewst at that time. There was another product we were using for something. And he was like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. This is exactly the same as I've been doing before. And he was able to translate the experience he had to, or the logic experience that he had, to the other platform, and then eventually to Rewst. You'll actually meet this guy at Reddit Boom.
I just lost my list here. Give me 1 sec. Last question for you, Calvin. For folks who are new to automation, new to building workflows, what's more valuable early on? Quick wins or foundational work?
And people might, like Jim Barry on his, people might disagree with me here, but I believe that time to value is one of the most important things to get. So quick wins. Quick, tiny wins that make everyone motivated to keep automating and keep doing things. Foundational work is super important and it needs to happen. But if you motivate everyone by removing jobs that they never like doing, it's going to be so much better for them.
Yeah. And ramp that engagement and interest. Thank you for sitting in the hot seat, Calvin.
Yeah, no problem for volunteering me.
You're welcome. That's all I got for now, Ash. Back to you for a little bit more for wrap-up time.
Well, now that everybody has had time to think through their thoughts and to hear other people's thoughts, is there anybody who wants to show something off or ask a question or share their screen and get some help? Is that a on the fence maybe?
John? No. John is clearing his throat into his mic. Josh.
Hello.
Hello.
This is just a question that I have. I've been a silent observer here for a while, and I'm starting to notice a trend of many of the workflows that people share seem to be very, very custom made. Right now, we onboarded at the end of summer and have been spending the fall getting up and running and learning the platform. But I guess my question is really like, how should that be kind of our focus, is to kind of start working on custom things, or what's the timeline for like using the crates to moving to new custom things? The crates have been a good starting point, but I find that I usually have to edit them and tweak them anyway. So I was just curious, for people that have been using this for a long time, like, what we should, how that timeline works, and should we be focusing more on custom stuff than the pre-built things?
What's your biggest Jamie, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Josh, I think you answered your own question. I'm curious to hear what others think, but you start with the crates so that you can get some quick value, and then you start exploring with customization when those crates don't solve your specific challenges, or you want to add something before or after one of the workflows. You reach for those as you start to build more things custom to yourself. There's nothing wrong, though, with focusing on getting those crates running, because in order to do that, you are getting all the prerequisites established. You're getting your integration set up, you're getting your organization variables set up and all the orgs created, and your processes, they're all good to go. But when they stop solving your problems, that's when you start customizing.
Yeah, it actually came up from one of those questions about fixing a broken workflow or creating a new one. Was kind of what got me thinking about this because, yeah, to be honest, like every crate we've used so far has taken some amount of modification, sometimes significantly. So I'm just wondering if we should be shifting gears and trying to focus on exactly what matters and that kind of thing.
Do you kind of have a good concept of what are those things that matter?
Yeah, I mean, really, it was certain, like even in some of the workflows like that just use Microsoft Graph, like certain things wouldn't work, so we'd have to start unlinking the crate so we could edit the workflow to say, delegate as admin or whatever, we needed to change. So I ended up in some of the longer ones unsyncing lots of workflows. So I was just like, am I going about this the wrong way? Because I'm like spending extra time trying to get it to work right versus,
Are you
would
trying
it
to
be
put a
better to just
square
kind of build it? Yep, exactly. Thank you.
square peg round hole? Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like I find a lot, like I rarely see like the full like end-to-end crate as the biggest value, especially for people who are interested and have the capability to build, as much as like the sub workflows and the recursive kind of stuff to give guidance. But from that person thinking with that mental model, it'd be really more around like, do you have kind of a problem mapped out that doesn't fit into one of those buckets neatly? And do you understand whether you have the stuff you need? Because then that would be just that iteration, right? Like start with the end, like this flow, like if I have a struggle with a user, maybe I just want a form that like sends this. Maybe I then step in and add this. And so you can iterate on your own problems while bringing in those sub workflows or those additional use cases to not repeat yourself effectively. But that depends on knowing kind of like, here's a gap I have and here's the solution for it. Just reading the chats here. George does like a good soapbox moment.
I have
I
one
think,
question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wanted to point out what Kelvin was saying about GDAP. If you're having to unsync the workflows to get it to work, checking GDAP or working with the rock to check GDAP may definitely be the answer. Kelvin, I'll also box for you.
Yeah, I am also tired of the GDAP stuff. I mean, all that stuff we set up through the GDAP automation, like setting up the roles and then checking them. But I think we are still having lots of issues, especially with the Microsoft API.
I think James has the answer there for you. There's one question that came up in Discord earlier this week, and you can just pose to everyone live. It came in from Luke C in our help forum. Ray already gave him a response, so thanks, Ray, for getting back on Discord. But kind of just an open-ended question around best practices. Luke was wanting to know for people using Rewst forms, specifically around onboarding, offboarding, or other things in general, are you having your end users fill out Rewst forms for things like that? Or are you having them send the information or request via a ticket and then have an internal resource use the form? Specifically, they were interested in learning more because they feel like if you are having your end users use forms, are you having to provide training? Is there errors with them not using the forms correctly? Anyone got any answers or strong opinions on how you're using Rewst forms with end users?
We do a fair amount of forms directly to the user. But then we also have created videos, how-to guides, publish them to our university doc site that we have at ETOP. We do account management meetings where we show off how to use things appropriately. We simplified the forms. I mean, like it's a never-ending kind of process towards making things as kind of simple as possible for people. So that's what we do.
Thanks, William. Yeah, I think self-service is a big,
Oh,
big
thanks,
part of the
Kelvin.
future.
I don't hear that enough.
You're such a beautiful man.
Shucks. Oh, you're a good layer, so I appreciate it. Brian, yes, basically. I took children down to San Diego and I came back sick. It's fun.
Well, we've made it to about 4 minutes left. Any final questions or concerns, Brad?
Yeah, I could do a 2-minute teaser demo of something big that I've been working on.
Sure.
All right, let me just share this. Gotta get the right window. I have 15 of them open. And get it. So I basically rebuilt the entire form system in App Builder because I wanted more flexibility out of it, like having multiple columns and things like that. And it's kind of related to the last question about end user forms, is we've delayed giving any user onboarding to end users because the forms can get complicated and unwieldy with a lot of fields and stuff. And so this is something, when we first heard about App Builder, I wanted to build out. So it functions in a lot of the same ways as the regular forms system. Drag elements in. My version, you can do multiple columns, drag things around. You configure these items in a similar way. You attach a form submit workflow here. You can do workflow-based drop-downs for your option generators, and you can feed the data into the other ones. You can have dependent fields and conditions, all that stuff. And then when you save this, it's just writing this entire form config, this JSON object, into a database table that holds all of these new custom forms. So if there's any interest, I could probably do a more full-fledged demo and get into some of more of the nuts and bolts in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You made Rewst and Rewst.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I mentioned earlier the form or the GraphQL stuff. If anybody is wanting to do advanced stuff in Rewst, get into the GraphQL, because there is so much you can do with that you can't do any other way. Just in App Builder, getting responses to workflow requests. You can do webhooks to launch workflows, but you can't get webhook responses. But with GraphQL, you can launch your workflows. You can also get responses. You can do just about any Rewst action with a GraphQL query, and it's fairly easy to set up because it's inside of the environment already, and so the GraphQL queries work just fine.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's have you show that off another week. That would be really cool. Thank you so much for that little teaser. And we're done. We're at time now, guys. Successful first open mic of the year. It was awesome to see you all. See you next week.
Great holiday rest of weekend, little work day in between, and we're back at it for a couple of days. So hope everybody has a great weekend.
Meow. Meow.